Hi there, I'm Mikaela McLean, and this is an introduction to your human design energy type. I'm an auric esthetician, and my work focuses on the cultivation of inner beauty using methods such as human design, astrology, Reiki, meditation, yoga nidra, sound healing, crystals, essential oils, and so much more. But a little background before we dive in. I grew up a ballet dancer, which unfortunately left me with an eating disorder, mental health issues, and very low self worth. As a young adult, I found myself in the beauty industry, which is probably not the healthiest place for someone like me. Now, I've been a licensed master esthetician in the state of Washington for 2 decades, specifically working in dermatology and plastic surgery. A real beauty is pain, let me laser your face off kind of gal. A lifelong self professed beauty junkie who always thought another laser or injectable would finally help me be content with myself, but that never happened. And as much as I loved all my years of helping make people feel beautiful on the outside, I always knew there was something missing, both for myself and my patients. My personal journey somehow led me to human design, and the discovery of this system has been such a huge blessing in my life because it led me to stop seeking an external fix and finally recognize my own inner beauty. It has helped me quantum leap into self love and acceptance. And that's what's so cool. Sitting with and studying my own very specific and unique human design, I have learned that that's my role to play here on earth. I'm here to empower others to love and accept themselves from the inside out, but only after learning how to do it for myself. In my experience, human design is nothing short of life changing, but the change can't be rushed. It must be integrated and embodied on a cellular level over time. So let's get started at the beginning. I'm going to introduce you to your own design at the highest level. This video will cover your type, strategy, authority, not self signature, and some deconditioning tips. Don't know what any of that means yet. Don't worry, we're going to cover it all. And for those who do know, this is a great refresher to reacquaint yourself with the fundamentals, the most important elements we need to live out in our day to day lives. I have a friend who, after her initial one on one human design session with me, said that I am like a hype girl for the universe. And it's true. I get so excited to introduce people to this incredible wisdom, and it tickles me to know the positive chain reaction this is going to set off in your life. So let's get into it. Let me do my job and let's get you high on you.
All right, so what is human design? Human design is a synthesis of ancient wisdom and modern science. So, on the ancient wisdom side, we have astrology, specifically Western astrology, the I Ching, the Kabbalah, and the Hindu Brahman chakra system. And then the modern science is quantum mechanics, it's astronomy, genetics, biochemistry. I really like to think of it as your energetic DNA, that is how you are wired. So, what it is not, it's not a religion or a cult. It's not a belief system. There's nothing in it you need to believe. It's a science experiment. Just take it, play it, try with it. Try it out. It's not fortune telling, and you're not predicting the future. This is really more of a blueprint of your potential. And it's not a personality test or quiz. This is it's not the Enneagram, it's not the Myers-Briggs. So the functions of human design, it is known as the science of differentiation. It is everything that makes you up that's so specific and uniquely you. That whole uh, conglomeration of things that really come together to create a unique individual. And like I said before, it's totally objective. It's based on your time, date, and place of birth. Unlike a personality test, we experience a lot of conditioning, and those personality tests speak to who we think we are, who we believe we are, who we've become over time, rather than who we really are at our core, who we've been conditioned to think we are by the world around us, by school, friends, society, so on and so forth. It really helps to shed light on how you are wired, right? Your decision making style, your energy levels. And at the end of it, I feel like the biggest gift is that it creates so much compassion for yourself. You learn to love and accept yourself, in my opinion, with this. And then also understand that every single other person in the world also has their unique design, and it gives you so much compassion for others. It also helps you identify your key strengths, your talents, again, the special things that make you up as an individual. And then you can highlight that. You can use that in your everyday life. You can use that in business. I say use it, but really it's about the embodiment of it. And then when you come into alignment with you, with that blueprint, magic just starts to happen. So again, the functions, it really is this user's manual for you. It's like you've been given the instructions or the rule book, the guidebook for you and your makeup. I personally really see it as a shortcut to healing and wholeness. It allows these quantum leaps to happen of self-love, self-acceptance, like I said, the embodiment of just you being okay with you, which is truly the greatest gift. Like I said, your special qualities, your gifts, even your purpose. It really is a system to help you love and accept yourself and others. I wholeheartedly believe that, and that has been my biggest takeaway from my years spent in this experiment. Definitely knowledge for how to help you live your best life with the least amount of resistance. And I also see it uniquely as a diagnostic tool for holistic beauty. When coming from aesthetics and everything always being about the outside, and then you discover all these magical things that maybe nobody ever praised you on, you maybe took for granted, it was never acknowledged, and you realize those are all the things that make you up energetically, that make you beautiful from the inside out. So I jokingly say it's like therapy on steroids. And why human design now? Why is it exploding? We're living in a world that is evolving. Times are changing. In human design, there are specific time periods of a little over 400 years, and we are approaching the end of one, right? So 2027 is part of human design. It's a very important year, and it is a time period where we change time periods. We are going from a very tribal time to a time that is about the individual. And why this is really important is that the period that we're in has to do with structures and building things together. And in the last few years, we've all seen this really kind of crumble before our eyes, how things are absolutely, without a doubt, shifting. And so we need to learn to live as our own authority. So we're moving into this time period of an individual, and I definitely see, it's like influencers and things like that. That's all going to go away. We're going to all realize, especially when we come into alignment with ourselves, we don't need anyone else outside of us telling us what to think, telling us what to do. Um, we are our own authorities. There will be no, gurus outside of that. And so it's a very deeply, deeply, deeply empowering. And that's the magic of something in design about being an individual, is that it's about empowerment, and it also coincides with the, air quotes, Aquarian age in astrology. Um, Aquarius is like, yes, it's humanity, it's for the people, but at the same time, it's about all of us coming together as unique, fully embodied individuals. I'm good with me. You're good with you. We accept, we can love each other, but we don't have to be the same. We don't have to belong to the same group, the same anything. It's pretty amazing. It's just like, let your freak flag fly, be yourself, and let's all love each other for it. Um, as I said, individual self-love and acceptance has a ripple effect on others. When you come into alignment and that true embodiment with yourself, you are energetically giving permission to everyone around you to do the exact same thing. So deeply empowering, which then in turn raises the frequency of the world. There is a 7-year cycle. This is always really important. I like to point this out when I'm introducing people to design, because the stress is, oh my gosh, I have to understand all of this. I need to be living this immediately. No, it's a science experiment. Like I said, there's nothing you have to believe. The real magic is actually experimenting with it, seeing how, when you approach life the way maybe you always have versus kind of the awareness of some of these new things, and how it does or doesn't impact your life, positive or maybe not so positive. Um, and the only way you can get there is actually by experimenting. You actually have to live it out. So very important to always remember that. And like I said, the whole thing's a science experiment. And that 7-year cycle is, it's like it takes the cells in your body to renew fully that's 7 years. And so to kind of strip away all of the things that we have been conditioned to believe our entire lives, it's a long process and it never really stops, to be honest. But I am at this point, 2022, I'm going on like 7 years in my experiment, and it's quite fascinating. And absolutely, I don't think it stops. You find all the places though that you see it, and you have awareness now, and you can bring your attention to the things that you're like, yeah, that's actually out of alignment with my design, and I know how good it feels to live in alignment with it, and I make better choices, and my life is just easier. It flows better when I adhere to my own personal instruction manual. So, one really important thing on all of that, human design is extremely heady, extremely intellectual, extremely complicated. It's a system. Um, so it's almost about exhausting the mind in a sense, because at the end of the day, it is not meant to be lived or comprehended from the mind, not at that conscious level. You're not supposed to be up in your mind thinking about things that don't matter. Again, this is about the experiment, living it from an embodied place, like really being in your body. Your body is, it's your antenna. It is the vehicle or the vessel that you've been placed in to experience life. And our bodies are so incredibly wise. We don't give them the credit that they deserve. Um, and when we get into authority, we'll really speak to that. So we have the passenger, which is your mind. This is a huge human design concept, a little bit further along than this intro video, but the passenger is our mind. It's who we think we are. The vehicle is our body that is really like living out and guiding us. And the driver is um it is something called our magnetic monopole. And when I talk about it, it's this thing that really brings everything loving and beautiful our way if we would just get out of our own way, right? It is something that takes us along what is called like the unique geometry of our life. Like we have a path and we just need to relax and enjoy the ride. That's a famous human design quote. Just get out of your own way, relax and enjoy the ride. Let your body do what it's designed to do. So these videos are intro to our human design type, our aura type, our energy type. It gets referred to as a few different things. But like I said, it's just an introduction to your aura type. Your aura, really, you can think of it almost like this vehicle that you ride around in, that you experience life through, and how others experience you as well, how you engage with life. Learning about your type, again, instruction manual, how to operate in alignment. And I do always tell people there is no one type, trait, gate, authority, whatever you want to put, like whatever it is, there's no one thing that's better than another. It's truly, it's truly like every single thing in the chart it's two sides to the same coin. There is a high expression and there's a low expression. And you can learn things about yourself. You're like, oh my gosh, yes, I do that. It's like, great. But you also have the free will and the embodiment, the ability to animate all of those things in a very high expression way as well. So it's really beautiful because you realize you're just wired that way, and I can choose the low vibe or the high vibe expression of every single thing in my chart. So also, this is just learning how to do you to the best of your ability, right? Choose that high expression anytime that you're able to, and experience the least amount of resistance going through life. Make life easier on yourself. All right, so projector masterclass. So first off, let's start with what is even in a chart. So for our projectors, we're going to be looking under type. We're looking for the word projector. And then strategy. The strategy for all projectors is wait for the invitation. So, right here on Genetic Matrix, it specifically says wait for recognition and invitation. As we will get to this, you'll understand that the recognition is a very important part of the invitation you're waiting on. So, authority is our boss, and projectors have 5 possibilities. They have the most subtypes in within their type. So you could either be a emotional, a splenic, an ego, a self-projected or G-center projector, or a mental, or also known as environmental projector. And then the signature versus the not self. So success versus bitterness. And then what makes somebody a projector? So we get our definition based on where the planets were both in the black, which is where they were at the time of our birth, and in the red. This is our design or our body side. So black is personality, who we think we are. Red is the design, the body, and that is those points come in 3 months or 88 degrees of the sun prior to our birth. So something has to connect completely to give us our definition to color things in. But the thing you'll notice missing on all projectors charts is the sacral. This center is not, cannot, will never be colored in on a projector. So the thing that makes someone a projector is obviously the lack of definition in the sacral, plus no motor directly connected to the throat. So here we have our throat center. This can be colored in brown. Again, it could be connected to specific things, but the 4 motor centers in the body are the sacral, the root, the emotional solar plexus, and the heart, also known as the will or the ego center. But as you'll notice here on this chart, none of those 4 directly connect up to the throat. So the aura, your energy type. So for projectors, what I love to tell them is they are the wise and insightful guides for others. And they're not here to do all the doing, meaning they're here to observe energy and direct it efficiently. So projectors' gifts are in what they see, not in what they do, not in the physical or manual labor. The aura itself is focused and penetrating, it's absorbing, and it really locks on and zeroes into the other, like other people, really sees into them very, very deeply, very clearly, like an X-ray. And projectors are really gifted in seeing what others miss, and they know how to optimize the energy and resources around them. So it's always getting thrown around. They're not here to work in the traditional sense. You're really here more to advise and direct others, as in the other energy beings, on how best to use their energy. Projectors are the newest energy type of the bunch. They came around in 1781 when Uranus was discovered. And it's a very interesting reason why projectors are here now and are new. And it really has to do with the discovery of Uranus. We used to live a Saturnian lifespan, so 28 to 30 years. When that got extended around the time of Uranus's discovery, our lifespan, it extended exponentially. So Uranus's cycle around the system is 84-ish years. So our lifespan reflects that. So again, it's quite interesting because before, all we were really concerned with was survival. And now we get to live in a time where we have the potential to be fulfilled. Like, what are our dreams and our aspirations? And that is what projectors are kind of here to help guide those of us who have the energy, especially the sacral beings, into fulfillment, really. So projectors are really meant to go deep into what interests them. And typically they're interested in systems to help them better understand people. They're the ones that ask the probing questions and really can dig into the other. They're here to understand the other, not even focus so much on themselves, but really focus on other people, to be able to help them. And they're always highly intelligent, from the time they're small children, as like just again seeing very deeply, very clearly into other people and again the systems around them. Now, the little catch with this is that they typically have a limited supply of energy and it works very efficiently, but it needs to be used correctly. So projectors are designed to be recognized, and others need to really see in them their special gifts. But the really important thing is that a projector needs to see and value their own gifts first. And they always say you cannot recognize a projector that does not recognize themselves. So you have to see the good in you, your amazing gifts, qualities, talents, skills before you can expect anybody else to. Projectors typically work best one-on-one or in small groups because again, their gaze is so specific, so penetrating, so seeing into the other person to help guide them. So it's best done in a very small setting. And one of the really important things for them to remember is, don't waste energy. Don't waste your precious energy that's limited on people who didn't ask for it, are not ready for it, don't want to hear from you, so on and so forth. Again, super wise, super insightful, but definitely want to put your 2 cents in where maybe it hasn't been asked for. And that can feel it can feel like a total bummer, when you get shut down because somebody doesn't want to take your amazing insight and advice. But it just means they're either not open to it or they're not ready for it. So again, as we get to the invitation piece, you'll understand a little bit more why that is. But projectors are really meant to focus on, like a zone of genius. So what is your zone of genius? What is the thing that you see so specifically, so clearly, so different than other people that is your area? And I tell people, ask yourself, what topic is everybody always coming to you for? Like they want your advice, they want your 2 cents on this. And or what rabbit holes do you love to fall down and just go crazy? You can't help yourself. You want to study, you want to read about this thing or watch videos on it all the time, or just really, really get wrapped up in it. Those are the things you're meant to focus on, and what you're really doing is constantly preparing for the next correct invitation in your life. Um, Projectors are meant to be masters of systems, right? So they don't need to create or reinvent the wheel. You are the people who find all the different ways to tweak it, to see how to make it better, to again, kind of help things overall, and here to enhance the efficiency of said systems. And then at the end of the day, it's about guiding, directing, orchestrating the flow of energy and, directing energy beings. So, kind of back to this energy thing, it's like without having this sacral defined, 70% of the world are sacral beings. And those are the people who, can go do 8, 10, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. As long as they're doing what they love, they generate more good positive energy. For a projector, this is not the case. They have to be very wise and very selective of how they use their energy. And again, this is nothing negative. It is merely, hey, this is how I work, right? I want to conserve my precious energy. So they borrow energy from other people. But again, really important that you understand that is not a consistent source coming from within yourself. And this leads them to not being the go with your gut people. So we all get conditioned, told, go with your gut, trust your gut. Projectors are not gut people. Your intuition or your authority, which we will get to, comes from something else. Very important, again, because you're borrowing this energy from other people. You need to have aura-free spaces. So spaces away from other people where you can really rest and reset. Um, as I said, building little rest breaks into your days where you actually lie down flat. flat. It helps you empty out other people's energy that you take on and absorb. So even 5 to 10 minutes here and there, go to the grocery store, come back, you're like, okay, I'm gonna lay down and relax and just kind of like empty out. You don't have to take a nap, but you certainly can. It's helpful. And why I mentioned nap, bedroom, sleep, it's like making sure that you have plenty of time out of other people's auras, and that includes during bedtime. You won't get as restful of a sleep. You will be absorbing other people's energy as you sleep. And I always tell people take that one with a grain of salt, whatever works for you in a relationship situation. But frequently, projectors have separate bedrooms or use the guest room. I think pretty much, I don't want to say every projector I know, but plenty of them that I'm close enough to know these things about and are friends with absolutely do not um, consistently sleep in the same room as their partner. So again, take that with a grain of salt. If it works for you, wonderful. But there's definitely ones that are like, yes, when I travel for work, I get the best rest of my life because I'm in my hotel room alone or what have you. Um, Really important that we're not trying to keep up and overdo it because again, the majority of the world we run on this sort of sacral schedule and sacral expectations, and this is not what a projector is here for. So, understanding when enough is enough, that you're not pushing yourself past the point of exhaustion is really important because, again, this is not what you're designed for. You're designed to guide the energy, not have to do all the doing. And then, of course, at night, you want to make sure that you wind down into sleep. So, this kind of goes back to our bedroom thing is that, you have almost like a bedtime routine for yourself. You can fall asleep exhausted, sleep 16 hours, wake up and feel awful, or you can, get yourself into a flat position, a good 30 to 60 minutes ahead of bedtime and really basically empty out other people's energy and then fall asleep from there. And you will get so much better, like really restorative sleep and rest versus you collapsed into bed and, slept all night, but it just doesn't have the same quality to it. So your strategy, like how you're meant to actually take all this information and go exchange it with the rest of the world. So, strategy is wait for the invitation. Projectors are designed to be noticed. They're designed to be seen, recognized, invited, right? To share your wisdom, your insights, your gifts with other people. This is very important on a person to person level. You don't need an invitation to go to the grocery store, to, you know, go about your day-to-day business. But when it comes to other people, you definitely want to be waiting for recognition and invitation. And again, I mentioned this already, but you can't recognize a projector that does not recognize themselves first. So you don't need the outside validation. You just need to make yourself visible and available. Once you understand, say back to the zone of genius. Hey, I know what I'm really good at. I know what I see differently. I know what my gifts are. And I just make myself visible and available. Versus, oh, I'm not ready for that. And, kind of hiding out. And it's really important that you're extra selective about the invitations that you do accept, that you do take on. Not everyone deserves access to you, your energy. Not everybody is ready for your insight. As I mentioned before, you can try to put your 2 cents in of how you see things could be so much better, or, you throw your opinion into the ring. And if it was not asked for, it will be typically it's shut down, it's ignored, it's, it's not cute. So I said this to my friend and she loved it. She's a projector. I was like, yeah, just post up and let them come to you. And that really is the job. It's like, you're over here, your neon light that says open is on. You're allowed to talk about the things that you're into, your zone of genius, but there's a difference between talking about it and offering advice and telling people what to do. That's the area that a projector wants to stay out of, but you absolutely should be showing up, turning that uh imaginary light on and letting people know that you're ready for the invitation. So how do you know if an invitation is correct for you? These are the things that make you feel seen and recognized for your zone of genius, for your natural talents, your insights, your advice, all of that. Um, Projectors are meant to be compensated for their gifts, not their time and or the manual labor. Like time does not necessarily have to equal money for you, because projectors are really efficient and they can get done in, say an hour or two, what it would take somebody else an entire day to get done. It doesn't make sense. It's like, why would I need to work an 8-hour job when I can get that job done in 2 hours? So there's so much efficiency there, and like allowing other people to see it and knowing that they're paying maybe for something that's a little bit more intangible, if this is in a business context. Also, invitations where you don't feel like somebody's expecting you to settle or compromise, and certainly not to give yourself away, give away, whatever it is, your special sauce, to gain somebody else's attention or approval. That's a surefire way of knowing that is not a correct invitation for you. So sometimes people are like, I don't know what you think, and you can just tell. You're like, that wasn't a real invitation. That you didn't really care what I had to say, or what I think about this. And you become more attuned to what is and isn't correct over time. So when it comes to our authorities are the big boss. They are the ultimate decision maker. And if strategy is how you go about life, authority is how you make the correct decisions for you. So for 100% of people, it is never, never, never the mind. And also for projectors, it's never the gut. So that conditioning of hearing, go with your gut, trust your gut your entire life, it is totally incorrect advice. So again, back to, we have the 5 subtypes, we have the 5 possibilities for authorities. We're going to go through all of them, check your chart for what yours says. And we're going to go through those in order. So again, projectors, it's not your gut. So emotional authority, they're going to be the most emotional authorities. They make up 50% of the entire population of all people. Emotional authorities, they are not designed to make decisions in the moment. They are always riding what is called an emotional wave. It's a mechanical process that happens to and through them, but they are not in charge of it. You basically need time. You need time to feel out the emotional highs and lows. And what you're waiting for is neutral clarity, basically a place in you that's like, this decision is no longer emotionally charged. And so I always love to tell emotional authorities that feelings are not facts, nor are they final. You know that these highs and lows that you naturally experience are always subject to change. So the cruel joke for emotional authorities is that they are never 100% sure about anything. So stop expecting to ever feel 100% sure. There's always going to be this like self-doubt, self-questioning. Um, you are waiting for 80% neutral clarity. You ride the highs, you ride the lows, you have bigger decisions. And I do like to tell people this is not a, hey, do you want to go get coffee? Oh, well, I need to sleep on that. It's like, okay, that doesn't have to be the case. But definitely for medium on up decisions, emotional authorities, it's like, let's sleep on it. Let's wait this out. And the power is in is in waiting. It's always like, whatever's meant for you will not pass you by. If it's a person, if it's an opportunity, it will wait you out. It will still be there. And emotional authorities get a little bit nervous about that, thinking, "Oh, if I don't jump on this invitation right now, I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna miss it." And I encourage emotional authorities, have language in your back pocket. Be ready. Sounds great. Let me get back to you tomorrow. Let me get back to you next week. We'll chat about this next month. Just always finding ways to buy yourself time. Like I said, you're shooting for 80% clear. That could come after a night's sleep, that could come after 3 days, a week. Very important that emotional authorities kind of start really that observing their own natural patterns and seeing how long it takes them typically to get to a place of clarity. When you look at an individual chart, you can get way more specific about what emotional waves are occurring, what they're really tied to in a person. But for now, just knowing that you have emotional authority is like, time is your best friend. So, splenic authority. I like to call this the inner caveman or your inner wild animal, because this is very much about instincts and intuition. It's not logical, it's not rational. This is an in the moment decision maker. So, unlike emotional authorities, this is not about sleeping on it. This is what is correct for me in the present moment. Um, Splenic reactions or guidance is subtle and it's different for each individual, often rooted in the senses, you know, whether that's hearing something, getting an interesting taste, getting goosebumps all over your body, you know, feeling waves of energy. I had somebody once, and I love this because I like to ask splenic authorities, like, what does that feel like to you? And somebody once said, they were like, "Well, you know, when you're at the top of a roller coaster and like it drops, that's the feeling that they would get in their stomach anytime they knew something wasn't right for them." And that's what's interesting with the spleen. It's like it's designed to keep you healthy and safe. This is not about, "Yay, I'm super excited," or, you know, anything like that. This is like everything is cool until suddenly it's not cool, until suddenly there's a red flag, something is warning you, "Nope, we gotta go, we gotta get out of here." And very important that it's like you this is not about explaining it. It's just, oof, you know what? I was driving home this way. I go home every day this specific way. And today something in me said, nope, don't turn down that street. Or you walk in a place, you're like, I gotta go, right? No explanation needed. It's always kind of one step ahead. So that's important to keep in mind. You're like, I don't know how I know this, but my body is aware. My body is trying to keep me safe. And very interesting, just the other day, um, my daughter and I were talking about my son, my little guy. He is a manifester, but he's a splenic authority. And she said, "Do you ever notice how she's the older one? Do you ever notice how when he sees a dog, he kind of like steps back, he backs up, even though he loves animals?" And I was like, "Isn't this fascinating?" Because for him, unlike she and I, we're sacral authorities, right? It's like, "Ooh, doggy," you know, and you just right up in the dog, like, "Yay," you know, like loving on the dog. And for him, despite the fact that he loves animals, for him, it's like there's the wild animal. He is meeting another animal and he's giving it the respect, the distance, sort of the safety that he needs before he knows if things are okay or not. So fascinating, fascinating to observe, especially in children, because they're going to be the far more pure and you know, the distilled example of whatever their authorities are. He's also the one that can predict the weather changes. It's hilarious, and not basing on anything, but he will sniff up at the sky and be like, "It's gonna storm." So if you have something like that too, you know, pay attention. All right, then we move on to ego authority. So again, as we're going down this chain where it means less and less definition in your chart. So more openness, more white centers typically. And so for ego authority, you know, it's basically where there's a will, there's a way. The ego is the heart center. It's also known as the will center. Um, very, very, very important. Of course, for all projectors, that invitation is so important, but especially for ego authorities, is like really waiting to be seen, recognized, and invited before any decisions are made. And this is an interesting one because it's considered air quotes selfish, and selfish is correct for them. So for them, it's like, it's really like, what is in this invitation for me? What do I want? What am I going to get out of it? Because their heart really has to be in it. So again, success, which we will be getting to, is like success comes from fulfilling commitments. Like if you're making promises that you can't keep, you are not going to get to that success place because that natural willpower absolutely has to be there. So if your heart's not in it, you're not in it. There's no point in trying to make this invitation work. So again, only saying yes if your heart is really, really in something. And now self-projected authority. So again, less potential definition in the chart. So self-projected, this is the G center. This is the big diamond at the center of the chest. It will be colored in yellow if you're a self-projected authority, and then connected up to the throat. This the G center itself is the center that governs love, identity, and direction. And so those are some of the most important things, right? So this is the GPS of your higher self, this inbuilt compass that knows where you are meant to go. So what self-projected authority is, it's giving a voice to this natural, deep inner knowing that you have. So it's important for them is to talk at others and then be able to hear yourself back to know what is actually correct for you. So this is not about I'm having a conversation, I'm asking for advice. You don't need advice. It's more that I just need to hear myself. And it's very much not about what you think you should say, just sort of like what comes out of your mouth. Yep, open your mouth, the inner truth will come out, and do not ignore that voice. Don't let the mind pop into things and, try to run the show. Like really listen to yourself. And then lastly, we have mental or environmental authority. So less and less and less definition. This is all up at the very top of the chart where you will be colored in. So this is why these people going to get referred to as a mental computer, is that below, they can have nothing colored in below the throat. So they're extremely sensitive to their environments and to the people in those environments. And what is really important for them is to be in a physical location that feels really good, really safe, have your safe places, those coffee shops you love to go to, or, people, friends' houses, things like that. Because you really need to have it dialed in to like your trustworthy people. So yet again, this is not about getting advice from anybody, but being able to use these people as like a sounding board. You need to be able to hear yourself clearly and to talk it out. And again, it's really just hearing yourself. And you're still not meant to make decisions from the mind at the end of the day. But the authority comes from that vibration of your voice into the space that you're in. Okay, so not self versus signature. I like to say the not self is our warning light. It's the red flag that comes on and lets us know we're trying to go 20 miles off the wrong road, versus our signature, which is an indicator that we're in our happy place. We are in our zone. Yep. So not self, red flag, warning light, where we do not want to be making our life decisions from. So the not self for a projector is bitterness. Um, Feeling bitter, that word, I always laugh. I'm like salty AF, I'm chapped, I'm resentful. These are warning lights for projectors. There's this, feeling of inability to keep up with the sacral beings. Like, oh my gosh, why can't I work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week? You're going to get bitter or depleted. Feeling unnoticed, unrecognized, passed over. Like, I'm so smart. Why is nobody seeing me? Why does nobody want that advice from me? It leads to those feelings of bitterness. Others disregarding your intelligence, looking outside of yourself for validation, social media comparison, and then feeling very salty about what other people are doing, and why am I not getting the same level of attention? And like I said, I mentioned it, feeling depleted, exhausted, run down. That's another surefire way to get to that bitterness place. But I always tell people make friends with the not self, because it is here to help you, believe it or not. It's like this is amazing. It's like it's our friend if we want to recognize it for what it is. This is the thing that's helping you get back on track. So when we're feeling bitterness at any of its forms, bitterness and or depletion, this is the cue to go back to your strategy and authority. So ask yourself, did I, number one, wait for the invitation? Or did I try to push, force, hustle, initiate? Did I try to make it happen? Did I try to get somebody's attention? So number one, is that where I went off track? And then that's an easy course correct. Or number two, no, I totally waited for the invitation. So what's the problem? Well, what did your authority say? Did your mind try to jump in and run the show, or did you really allow your authority to do its job and help you make, not help you, make the decision for you? And then our signature, right? So I just say hashtag goals. Like this is where you are in alignment and where you really want to be living from as often as possible. But again, not vilifying the bitterness, because that is the indicator that's going to help you get on track. So here we've got success, feeling rested and respected. It's doing less and getting more, receiving invitations that you actually want. And success is interesting because of all the different types. It's the only one that's dependent on other people. Because going back to what a projector is here to do, they're here to guide others. So you have to be the guide, the coach, the advisor for others. If other people aren't experiencing success, you're not experiencing it. I use the analogy of like a football coach. The projector, they're not the quarterback, they're not the running back, they're not the player on the field running around using up all their energy. The projector is the coach on the sidelines. If they're being a coach but nobody to coach, they can't win a game. But when they're over there and they have the right people on the field for them, they can direct their energy correctly, call the plays, and win the game. So again, right, when you guide others to success, you experience success yourself. And then deconditioning. This is about cleaning up our vibrations so that we try to stay in that in alignment place as often as possible. So making sure that you're getting ample rest during the day, quality sleep at night, like I said, winding down into sleep, building little breaks within your day. Um, Stop wasting your precious energy on people who didn't ask for it, who don't see you, who are not ready for your insight. Some people may never be ready for it, and others, it's just not time yet. So be patient. It's about kind of biting your tongue until it's time, until people really ask you for it. Don't try to keep up. Your energy levels are different. Your work looks different. You are super efficient. You don't need to be out there running around. I always say the projectors are the ones that are herding the cats. It's like I have my act together and I am helping those people run more efficiently. Stop doing all the doing. Just focus on your zone of genius, focus on preparing for the next correct invitation. The more that you study and hone your skills, hone your craft, you will be getting yourself ready for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing that comes your way that is actually right for you, rather than trying to spend your energy on things that really don't matter and that you're not designed for. Always so important to recognize yourself before you expect anybody else to, right? I have to see the good in me before I expect anybody else to see it. And remember, work smarter, not harder. Do less, get more. That is the projector mantra. You guys are here to lead the rest of us into understanding that. Even the last couple years in this world, everybody being able to pull back a bit is realizing, wow, I don't need to be busy 24/7 to feel like I matter. Um, Really dialing it in, dialing that focus in is a huge gift and a huge blessing that everybody needs to experience from the projector. And then lastly, projectors, it's very important that you remember to be the lighthouse. And what does that mean? The lighthouse always gets referenced for projectors, is that the lighthouse's job is not to go down out to the boats and tell them, hey, I know things. You need to listen to me. If you don't listen to me, you're going to crash. There's rocks over here. It's like, no. What does a lighthouse do? It's on the shore. Lights are on. Somebody's home. I'm letting you know that there are rocks. There's a shoreline here that you need to be wary of. That is the projector's job, right? The light is on in my aura. I'm letting you know I know things, but I'm not putting them on you. I'm not trying to give you advice. I'm posting up and allowing you to come to me for what it is that my gifts are. So again, to recap, You guys are the wise and insightful guides. That aura focuses, penetrates into the other, and really, really deeply sees people. You see the things that people miss, and you know how to guide others' energy to be more efficient and eventually successful. Not here to do all the doing. It's not about manual labor. It's really like orchestrating, guiding, advising other people. The zone of genius, that what is the thing everybody comes to you for? What is your magical special insight? Again, when you get into charts very specifically, you can see this, which is very fun, looking at specific elements in the chart that really kind of tell more of this story. But again, allowing yourself plenty of time to study, to fall down the rabbit holes that interest you. And again, you're constantly preparing for the next correct invitation. You don't need to take just any invitation that comes your way. Only the ones that you're like, yes, this really gets me excited because somebody sees me for me and the stuff that I love. Side note, projectors are often they're often the people that are always in management and things like that because people do see them at being good at things, and being able to direct others, but it's not necessarily what they want to do. What do you want to be invited for? And then strategy and authority, of course, waiting for the invitation. Do I feel seen, recognized, and invited into this? And is it good use of my energy? Is it what I want to spend my precious energy on? And then, of course, the 5 different possible authorities.
All right, that's the basics of your human design energy type. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's a lot of info, but at the same time, we only just barely scratched the surface of your incredibly unique design. The most important thing to remember is that it's a science experiment. Like, take this information into your everyday life and play around with it. Did this leave you hungry for more? I would love to work with you on a much deeper level. You can book a one-on-one with me. Plus, I have classes, trainings, and all kinds of other offerings coming very soon. You can stay up to date by following me on Instagram at Mikaela McLean. My link tree is always current, and you can sign up for my free 23-page guide to human design basics that covers all the energy types and centers and whatnot. I also have a podcast called Beauty by Design, which I highly recommend as an educational resource. We get into things way deeper. And plus, there's beauty meditations, beauty rituals, and interviews with my friends in the aesthetics industry who also love human design. So, again, thank you for joining me. And until next time, have a beautiful day.